I feel the presence of God so strong right now that I just want to leap. I want to scream with joy. I want to shout and rejoice, just do flips backwards, because I was not feeling like this the other night. And what my cure for my ailment that other night, when I was feeling mad and angry and frustrated and stuck and not just spinning my wheels in the mud and not being able to go forward, and just like sick and tired of the life the way it is, just enough is enough already. When I was at that point, I didn't pick up the phone to call anybody. I think I sent text messages out that morning to 3 different people and asked them to pray for me, or a couple Facebook messages to some dear sisters of mine that I'm very, very close to. Actually, one that I'm not very close to, but the Lord put her in my heart, and he sent me a word of encouragement through her that was just right on time. You have to listen to the voice of the Lord. You can't run to everybody. Some people will discourage you. You'll leave feeling more discouraged because maybe some people will judge you and say, well, what's wrong with you? Aren't you a woman of faith or man of faith? God's man of faith and power. Where's your faith? Yes, sometimes we need that kick in the pants, but sometimes we also need someone to say, well, you're human. You're going to feel this emotion. You're going to feel this or that. But remember who you're following. Remember who's in control. Remember the God of all comfort is here to comfort you. He's here to sustain you and walk you through this. Well, you got to listen to who he leads you to speak to. And he may not lead you to call anybody at all. I've seen times where immediately something would happen. I'd pick up my phone. I couldn't dial fast enough. And nobody that I called was available. Nobody would answer their phone. I couldn't reach anybody. I'm like, Lord, what am I going to do? And all they were going to do was take me to the throne anyway. Why can't I come to the throne of grace, boldly to the throne myself? And yes, it's great to come with, we need people to come alongside us. We need prayer partners. But I think the Lord was trying to get me to that point where I could say, Lord, I can come to you directly. And that's what I did. That night, Monday night, was that the night I was feeling like this? Yeah, Monday night. Or it might have been Tuesday night. I cracked open the Word. I found my sister's big old study Bible, and I took it with me down to the hospital because I couldn't find my study Bible. I've moved, and stuff is in boxes. I don't know where anything is. But anyway, I took her study Bible to the hospital, and I was determined to get in the Word. And I cracked open that Word, and I turned, and next thing you know, the pages are flipping, and I'm writing stuff down, and I'm taking notes. And by the time I put my Bible down, I was so doggone encouraged. And it's from getting in the Word to just let the Lord just shore me up and just strengthen my spirit, because my spirit needed that. I've gotten weak. I've been out of fellowship. Like, I'm not saying I'm out there club hopping and bar hopping and doing this and that. I'm not doing all of that. But I was forsaking the assembling of myself together with the saints, like going to church, because my son couldn't go, and I couldn't take him, and then I couldn't leave my mom. So it's just like so many reasons why I didn't go. But I wasn't really getting in the Word. I read a couple scriptures in the morning, or no, I had to get in the Word. I knew where my food was, and I was hungry, and I knew where my strength was, and that's what I did, and this is what he gave me. Hope deferred maketh the heart sick, but when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life. When you're hoping for something, and it doesn't happen, it makes your heart sick. You're sick as a dog. I love House Hunters on HGTV, and I'm always looking at homes, and I have this desire to own my own home again one day, and right now I'm in a room with my kids, when my son's not in the hospital, but we're in a room. So you go from having your own home with your husband and a career, and you're in one room with no career, and you're a single mom, and you have to put your faith into motion. And I literally get sick. I'll watch these houses, and I'm not jealous of anybody. I'm rejoicing for the people that have these homes, and I go online and look at homes, and I look at this place where I want to move, and I get sick because I want to be there so bad. Just want to be there so bad. I could taste it. But so yeah, when you have hope for something that doesn't come, it makes your heart sick. And maybe you're longing for somebody, and it seems like that will never happen, or they'll never come. Then your heart gets sick, But it says, but when the desire comes, it's a tree of life. When your desire comes, it's a tree of life. But when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life. So, as I was saying, frustration is the nemesis of hope, and our object lesson here will be Abraham. In Genesis chapter 12, the Lord appeared to him, and his life as usual was interrupted. He told him, get up and go to leave your father's house to a land that I will show you. And it was a faith move. And I don't know at that time before what Abraham's relationship, and his name was Abram at the time, what his relationship was with the Lord, if there even was a relationship. But the Lord surely knew who he was, and he came to him and told him to go. Land, he said, go to the land of faith, basically. Go in faith to the land of faith, because you know nothing of it. And, well, like, this is what you know, your father's house. This is your comfort zone, but go, because I'm leading you to go. One that I will show you. And so Abram had to trust and believe that God was going to show him where to go, how to get there, and when he was there. Sometimes you might be in that promised land and not even know that you're in the promised land. You might not even know that you're there, because you're basing the promised land off of somebody else's promised land, or what you think the promised land might be. And it could be right underneath your very feet. So he was 75 when he entered the promised land, and when the Lord first started speaking to him of descendants, 75, and he had no children at this point. But that was when he entered the promised land, and the Lord first started speaking to him of his descendants, when as yet he had none. In verse 2, he told him that he would make him a great nation. And he's 75 with no kids. If we use our carnal minds, our natural minds, to ration out the reasoning of God, or to make sense of the things that God tells us through his word, or says to us directly, through circumstances, through people, through situations, through dreams, through visions, whichever way he speaks to you, if we were to rationalize how that's going to happen, we will rationalize ourselves into the loony bin, because we can't know the mind of God. The Lord said in Genesis 13, first he appeared, and then he spoke, and then here he says he said in Genesis 13, he said something. He came to reaffirm the promise of the descendants and to add a little bit more detail about the promise. Verse 16, he says that his descendants would be like the dust of the earth. And he says, like, look horizontally, like, look at the land, look horizontally, look around you at the land and choose, like he was with Lot, and he was telling him to choose the land that he wanted for himself. And then the word of the Lord came. It comes. The word of the Lord comes. He sent his word, and he healed them. He sends his word to accomplish in the earth what it will accomplish. It says that none of his words will return to him void. They, just like the rain comes and it descends, it waters the earth, it brings forth the seed and bread to the sower, and then seed to the sower, bread to the eater. It just, God's word will return to him after it has accomplished what he sent it to accomplish. But his word came. The word of the Lord came to Abraham. The Lord sent his word. He's sending his word to you even now as I speak. And I'm not bragging on myself. I just feel his presence on me. And I know he gave me this. It lifted me up so much. And I pray that it lifts you up too. He's sending his word. And I'm reading from his word. So just know that he's sending his word to you even now. And a moment ago he said, look horizontally, look at the land around you. Now he says, look vertically, look up, look at the stars of the sky. And he says, I will give you, your descendants will be like the stars of the heavens. He's coming to reaffirm again. Genesis 12, remember he gave the promise. Genesis 13, well, he gave the word of obedience first, and Abraham went. So then he started to speak words of more about the promises. As you go on, you don't know about the whole vision, but as you go on in faith, if you're obedient, he'll start to add little pieces of the puzzle, little by little by little. He'll come and add more and more detail. He's not going to show you the big picture up front. He promised me some things a long time ago, some blessings. Yes, I was rejoicing. I was flipping out, going crazy, so happy. You get a word, a prophetic word, and you rejoice. But little do you know what you're going to have to go through in between the word of promise and getting there. Like the trip from point A to point X. You have no idea what in the world you're going to have to go through, but he does. And he asked once, when I was engaged to my ex-husband, he said, will you walk with me? That was the question he kept asking me and my ex-husband. Will you walk with me? And my ex-husband kept saying, yes, Lord. And the Lord was using me at that time to minister, and he said, no, listen, will you walk with me? Like, you don't know, you're going to have to go through some things, but will you walk with me? Yeah, of course, Lord, I'll walk. No, will you walk with me? If the terrain goes from smooth, flat ground to steep drops and cliffs and valley experiences and mountain experiences, will you walk with me? And that's the question of the day. Will we walk with him? Well, Abram said yes to that. And I'm not saying the Lord asked him that, but through circumstances, that's what he's asking. When he says, go? Will you go? Will you be obedient? Will you do what I'm telling you to do? Will you do what I'm not asking you? I'm telling you. I'm commanding you to do it. And will you follow my voice? Will you follow my lead? So then it says in verse 6 of chapter 15, Abraham believed, and it was Abram at the time. Abram believed God. And that word believe there's something that comes with it. It's just not, oh yeah, I believe that. Like if somebody says something, yeah, I believe that. It's not a if, it's not a maybe. When you believe something, you are fully persuaded, you are convinced, you are determined. Nothing can change your mind, nothing can sway your mind that what you believe is what you believe. We have to be stubborn and pick-headed when it comes to our faith. We have to believe. It says Abraham believed God. And then Genesis chapter 16, Abraham was 86 years old by this point. Chapter 12, he's 75. Chapter 16, he's 86, 11 years later, and the promise has still not come to pass. Do you give up at that point? Do you give up after a month, after the word has come, and it's a month later and you haven't seen it? Do you give up after that month? No, you keep on going. It says Abraham believed God. When did he believe God? In chapter 15, verse 6. And he actually had to believe God in the beginning because he went. But then in verse 16, or chapter 16, it says Abraham was 86. Chapter 17, God sent his word again. Verse 1, he was 99 years old. So now this is 13 years after the last promise. What faith! I would have given up a long time ago. I'm discouraged after so many years. And now it's kind of getting to the point when I hear something like, yay, and oh, okay. Let me get excited, but let me also realize that this could be another year or two before this happens. And God may surprise me and give me a suddenly, because he's into those suddenly blessings too. I've been hearing that a lot on TV lately. And on the different places, like just as suddenly, just God could do it suddenly, and he can do just whatever the heck he wants to do, because he's just God like that. He's just God Almighty. He's just got it like that. So I'm going to come back for the next part of this because I don't want to be too long, and I'm just going to wrap up this message, share a dream with you, and then share some other things and some other videos. So I'm trying to crank everything out now while I have the chance, because my time is very, very limited. So I love you guys, and I'll be back. Thanks for hanging with me.